Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about Magic, Commander, and anything else while I try and keep this whole mental health thing in check. Now, today I do want to talk about TikTok for a little bit. I was on TikTok when it became TikTok. When I first downloaded the Musical.ly app, it was mostly just to pass some time while I waited for other stuff. And I kind of watched it grow into what it became. And sure, there were times when I was just kind of not into it, and I would just say, not my cup of tea right now. I found so many Magic the Gathering content creators through TikTok. Through learning about them from other people's TikToks. And the pain I felt when I woke up just after midnight and I tried opening the app and I got a message saying that the app is unavailable. I think I'm still trying to process it, and it's been hours. And I don't think I'm processing it very well. But that said, I will not let the United States government deny me my freedom. And as such, I said screw them, and I'm learning Mandarin out of spite. And I have migrated over to RedNote. That said, do I know what I'm going to do on RedNote? Not really. I had kind of hit a lull in content on TikTok as it was. I just hadn't really figured out what I wanted to do. And yeah, I don't like my government telling me I can't do a thing and that I have to use Facebook, of all things. Just a quick thing out there. Screw Meta. They suck. I don't know if you've tried, posting on Instagram or Reels or any of that. It is horrible comparative to what TikTok was. And RedNote is the closest thing that I and many others have found. Now, there are a few things to know. Yes, the app is mostly Chinese people. No, we don't care. Yes, we are respectful to the Chinese people on there. We're not going on there and bashing China. We are just exploring Chinese culture through this app and sharing American culture through the app to them. And when I say they have been so polite and kind about us invading the space that was theirs, I think we really have learned that American propaganda is really nothing more than just the rich oppressing the poor. And I think we're finally at a point where it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you fall on, we're all just kind of fed up with what the higher-ups are doing. And they should be scared about that. Particularly after this whole TikTok ban, when they immediately tried to pedal back on it when they realized just how many Americans they pissed off. It's going to be a rough midterm for them. But anyway, I'm not entirely sure where else I want to take this today. I do have the things that I have that help me escape reality. I still have books, I still have video games, I still have Magic the Gathering. For now. And Magic has been a place where I can pour a lot of my mental power into to keep from essentially flipping out a lot. And I owe a lot to what Magic has been able to do for me. But that said, I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about. So I'll just leave it there. And when I come back, I don't know, I'm going to talk about something I'm putting together. Whether it happens to be dragons or morphs or rabbits. I'll decide when I get back. Speaking of, I'll be right back. Alright, and we're back. So, I decided we are going to talk about morphs, but it's actually more than morphs, and I'll get into that in a second. But let's start with who the commander of this deck is, and that is Vannifar, Evolved Enigma. 2, a green and a blue, for a 3/4 Elf Ooze Wizard. It says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Either cloak a card from your hand, or put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control. So, to cloak a creature from your hand, you put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature with Ward 2. You can turn it face up at any point for its mana cost if it's a creature. So, I've seen a lot of lists for this online that are quite literally just green-blue Eldrazi. And I did not want to do that. I wanted to lean into the other side of her ability. The ability to put things face down. And so that's where I kinda led it. So my main keywords we're looking at here are Morph, Megamorph, Cloak, Manifest, and Manifest Dread. There will be other things that just care about turning things upside down. Much like this first card I want to talk about here, which is Ixidron. It's 3 blue for a star illusion. When it enters battlefield, you turn all other non-token creatures you control face down. They become 2/2 creatures, and its power and toughness are each equal to the number of face down creatures on the battlefield. So this is just, if we already have a bunch of face down things, we can play this. He's big, blah blah blah. But if we play him, turning all of our things that are face up, face down, then have enough to cast Vannifar, we put ourselves at the advantage because everyone else's creatures are 2/2s, but we turn ours into 3/3s, right? Because at combat we can put a counter on each of them. That's the fun kind of interactions we're looking at here. Now, let's start in the Morph and Megamorph, and then we'll move through some of the other ones. The notable Morph creatures in this deck are the ones that morph and do a thing. The number one Morph creature I have in here, though, is Den Protector. 1 and a green for a 2/1 human warrior. Creatures with power less than Den Protector's power can't block it, and it has Megamorph for 1 and a green. But when it is turned to face up, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. We have Willbender. 1 and a white for a 1/2 human wizard with Morph for 1 and a blue. Whenever Willbender is turned to face up, exchange the target spell or ability with a single target. We have Stratus Dancer, 1 and a blue, for a 2/1 Jin Monk with flying, and Megamorph for 1 and a blue. When it's turned face up, counter target instant or sorcery spell. Now to round out our Megamorphs, we have Kadena Silencer, which is 1 and a blue for a 2/1 Naga Wizard. When it's turned face up, counter all abilities your opponent's control. Has Megamorph for 1 and a blue. And the Anok Survivalist. 1 and a green for a 2/1 Hound Shaman. It has Megamorph for 1 and a green. When it's turned face up, destroy target artifact or equipment an opponent controls. So there's Megamorph. Now we do have a few that are just Morph. The first one being Thousand Winds, which is 4 blue for a 5/6 elemental with flying. It has Morph for 5 blue. When it's turned face up, return all other tapped creatures to their owner's hand. So this is, we play this at some point face down. We flip it after everyone else has attacked, which just gets creatures off the board that hopefully will be hard for them to get all of back onto the board for a couple of turns. Yeah. And then the last one I'm going to talk about for Morph is the Karu Spell Snatcher. 3 and a blue for a 3/3 Naga Wizard with Morph for 4 blue. When it's turned face up, counter target spell. If the spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. You may cast the card without paying its mana cost for as long as it remains exiled. So again, things that do things when they're flipped over. I did forget one thing. There's another keyword that also cares about putting things face down, and that is disguise. So I only pulled a couple of the disguise creatures out to talk about. The first one is Vengeful Creeper. It's 4 and a green for a 5/5 plant elemental. It has disguise for 5 and a green. When it's turned face up, destroy target artifact or equipment an opponent controls. And Nervous Gardener is 1 and a green for a 2/2 Dryad. It has disguise for a single green. When it's turned face up, search your library for a basic land card, for a land card with a basic landed type, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So yeah, and there are more of those in the deck. The one keyword that I mentioned that we don't actually have a ton of is Cloak. And that's because Vannifar, I believe, is the only card I have in the list right now that can cloak a card. The nice thing about her cloaking a card and some of the ones that like manifest off the top of the library is, in a pinch, a land can become a 2/2 creature. You know what I mean? Now, I do want to talk about the Manifest Dread. It was the keyword that originally drew me into this deck, and it wasn't until I went back looking at things that I realized Vannifar quite literally cares about having face-down creatures. So it's what this whole deck idea was kind of based upon. And you can't talk about Manifest Dread without talking about the card Manifest Dread. It's 1 and a green for a sorcery that just says Manifest Dread. So let's go into what Manifest Dread is, and then we'll continue. So Manifest Dread is an ability that says you look at the top 2 cards of your library, you put one of them onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature, and the other into your graveyard. Turn it face up for its mana cost, if it's a creature card. So clearly there's a lot of things in Duskmourn that A, Manifest Dread, and B, care about you having the things go into your graveyard and the creature come into play. There's honestly a lot of Manifest Dread between, creatures, equipment, instant sorceries, everything. And I really just want to touch on a few of them because I am feeling a sort of way today, and I really don't want to go really even past 20 minutes today. So let's get into it with the Cursed Windbreaker. 2 and a blue for an equipment. When it enters the battlefield, Manifest Dread, then attach the Cursed Windbreaker to it. The equipped creature has flying. Its equip cost is 3. Next up, we have Under the Skin. 2 and a green for a sorcery that says Manifest Dread, and you may return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And the last one I really want to talk about is Growing Dread. It's a green and a blue for an enchantment. It has flash. When it enters the battlefield, Manifest Dread. And whenever you turn a permanent face up, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this can just grow things as we flip them up. If we can flip them up. Now, there's one last card I want to talk about that technically doesn't do any of this, but can get things face down on the battlefield. That is Eudora, the Grave Gardener. 4 and a green for a 5/5 Tree Folk Druid. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you can return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. It's a forest land. It has no other types or abilities. Now, I do have to wonder, because technically a morph is a non-token creature, but technically don't they get revealed when they die, and if it's not a creature, Eudora can't bring them back? I don't know. I'd need to ask a judge about that. No, the thing I'm more interested in is when our face down creatures die, but they are creatures and they come back as forests. It says it has no other types or abilities, but if the backside still has like the morph or disguise ability, does this get rid of it? I don't know. So for now, it's going to stay in the deck. That's it. I have come to the end of what I wanted to talk about. And I kept it under 20 minutes. So, in this, the day of the TikTok ban becoming formal, be kind to each other. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulpey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.